Voiceover Social.
Hello, Rob, and everyone else.
Hello, Helen, and everyone else.
It's nice to be back again. How are you?
Oh, it's Monday afternoon, isn't it?
It's December, Rob. What's it? It's December.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. I will be in denial until January.
Probably mid-January. Takes me a few weeks to get used to writing the different year. It's always fun.
That's the advantage of working online all the time, is that you don't actually have to write the date that often. Not like when you're in school. Oh,
do you know what weirdly I do? And I've been writing 2025 for events and things for a while, but I'm still going to get it wrong. Guarantee it. And talking about kind of dates and things coming up. So right at the end of the podcast, there is the list of the voiceover socials that we have coming up in December. There are a few Christmas parties. It's quite exciting, isn't it? And we've got the first ever social meetup for two of the groups as well, which is really cool. So it's the first ever Helsinki and the first ever Hearts, Beds and Books.
And they are both coming up very soon, so if you don't listen to this on the day of release, you've missed them.
And we've got a panic room this month as well, haven't we? As opposed to last month we had News from Equity, which is lovely to get them back. And what else have we got to talk about?
Well, we've just got one big interview, that's all.
One big interview, and there is one other thing.
What is the other big thing?
Well, because we don't talk about it often enough. The great big voiceover social! I thought, seeing as though tickets are actually live now, because the last podcast we did, they were just about to go live, but they weren't live. So we didn't really talk about it much. So I thought it might be nice to actually cover some of the basics and say what's going on and what's happening.
What is the great big voiceover social?
So the great big voiceover social is a gathering of, unsurprisingly, voiceovers and other industry types. In Manchester, in the UK, it is at an amazing independent theatre venue called 53-2, housed in two rather beautiful Grade 2 listed railway arches, slap bang in the centre of Manchester. It's 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. We're going to have 12 hours of voiceovery goodness.
That's going to be very tiring.
I know. It's going to be so worth it. So worth it. I probably won't be doing much for a couple of days after it.
No.
But it is going to be fun. Tickets are now on sale, as we mentioned, and they are £95 each, which I think is a billy bargain. But we thought we'd just say what you actually get for your money, because,
So what do you get for your money?
So obviously you get entry.
Yes.
I think that goes without saying. You get to come to the Great Big Voiceover Social. We are going to have party bags for everybody, stuffed full of goodies and all sorts of lovely things. We have the expo area, and that kind of impacts the party bags because the people putting things into the party bags are people in the expo area.
Yes.
You want to chat a bit more about the expo area?
Yeah, okay. The expo area, we have compiled a collection of industry experts for you to actually go and talk to. What we're going to be doing, probably early January, we're going to be having an appointment scheme where you can book yourself a 10-15 minute appointment with any of these experts, and you can go and actually have a slightly more formal conversation with them than you can do on a lot of conferences and expos and things like that. But we've been really careful to make sure that we've got lots of different areas of running a voiceover business all included within the expo area. So we have a fantastic collection of expo area people for you to come and talk to, and they are all on the silver sponsor list.
Yes, we've got the sponsors. We can't not, while we're talking about sponsors, we can't not mention our gold sponsor, Badalgo, who came in within seconds almost of us asking for sponsorship. And we are incredibly grateful to have Badalgo and everybody else's support. All the sponsors are listed on the website.
Yes.
So the other stuff that you get as part of your ticket, you get your food. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited by the food. It's a northern event run by northerners in Manchester, so it kind of makes sense that we're going to have pie mash and sides. Woohoo! Yay! Yes. Good sturdy food. But the company that are running the evening food are absolutely amazing, and what I love about them is their business as well is really cool, and I'm really happy to support them. So it's a company called HM Pasties, and not only are they award-winning, which is always good, but they also help create sustainable employment for people with criminal convictions. So it's a good ethical company as well as a really tasty meal. So that's kind of cool.
Yes, I like pie.
I like pie as well. And Manchester Caviar, which for those of you who might not know is mush peas. Mush peas. We have a magician coming. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about the magician. Tell us a bit. We both know the magician very well, don't we?
We do. He's a lovely fella. He's going to be wandering around stealing people's watches all afternoon.
And he has been a long-term supporter and attendee of the Voiceover Social in Manchester. Chris Clarkson will be performing magic for us, which I'm very excited to. It is part of his job. He does that as well as voiceovering. And our other pro kind of voiceover and does this on the side is our DJ.
Yeah, Mr. Paul Della Ross will be spinning some tunes in the evening and keeping us all entertained until it's time to go home.
Absolutely. And we've got a few other things, not wanting to kind of be stumped by just having entertainment for you guys. So we mentioned that we've got one-to-one bookable sessions. We also have a few optional extra sessions, which we are really excited about. So these are paid for extras, so they're not included in your ticket. But we wanted to try and keep the base ticket price down, but add some extra fun stuff. So what have we got planned, Rob? Well,
first of all, you can have headshots taken. We have a headshot photographer coming.
Yeah, Karen is someone that I have known for a good few years and takes some incredible photography. And she runs photo clubs around the UK as well. So it's a good one for people to get involved with. Karen will be there on the day. And we have two slightly more relaxed add-ons, I would say. Less businessy. It's not all work.
It's not all work. We have a beer tasting with a good friend of mine who is a professional beer sommelier. And then after we've had a beer tasting, we are then having a gin tasting.
Woohoo!
The venue where we are holding the great big voiceover social is right next to Manchester Gin's showcase shop and distillery. So they are coming to show us their gins and let us taste them.
Prices for the headshot photography will be coming out soon. There will be a couple of different packages that we're offering for those. And the gin tasting and the beer tasting are £30 per person. And those will be on sale very soon. So basically, anybody who buys a ticket will get access to then add on these extras, either booking a one-to-one with our experts in the expo area or book onto one of the extra sessions that we've got going on as well. But there's lots of information on the website if you're looking to come, if you're wanting to find the nearest accommodation, that's all listed. The venue is really good at accessibility, so you can find out about that. There's parking, where public transport is. You can even come by boat because there is a canal just around the corner. And, so you could just moor up if you fancy.
In the middle of a lock, because there's a lot of locks around the city centre.
There are, and actually, it's a really nice place to stay.
Yeah.
It's really lovely spot down there. But yes, so we thought we'd shout out our event in January. Tickets are selling. They will hopefully sell out. For those of you who have already bought a ticket, thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So we should probably actually talk about the podcast. We have a fun guest.
Yeah, we've got Rebekah from Source Elements talking to us. Now, anyone who has even the slightest finger on the slightest pulse of the VO world will know that Source Connect 4 is about to be launched. But Rebekah took some time out of all the stuff that she's having to do to get ready for the launch of Source Connect 4 to come and spend a little bit of time with us to talk about a little bit about Source Connect 4, but also just generally about Source Elements and her own background and her own self. We had a great interview. Inevitably, there's a load of stuff on the cutting room floor again. We really do have to get better at structuring interviews and only asking the questions that we want to put out.
I think there's that, and also it's just because we pick really interesting guests. Rebekah has had such a fascinating background. Her background is in music. She is a creative performer, and she's also a female in tech, which is a really rare thing to be a female tech founder. And one of the reasons I wanted to chat to her about that, as well as Source Elements, Source Connect, and all the actual voiceovery bits, is to talk about her a bit and how she got into doing what she does.
So shall we have a listen?
I mean, we better.
Yeah. Go on then. We have Rebekah with us this month, and it's great. We've met Rebekah a few times at conferences and things like that. We've stood on the opposite ends of corridors and waved at each other for a weekend on more than one occasion. So it's really nice to actually get a chance to sit down and talk to Rebekah. So first of all, Rebekah, can you tell us who you are?
Thank you for having me. It's really great to see you guys again and hear your lovely voices. It's one of the parts I love about this job so much, that I get to hear all these great voices up close saying things that are not scripted. Can be dangerous. So I'm the CEO and technical director of Source Elements. We've been around, we're having our 20th anniversary next year, so that's been around a while. Oh, yes, it will be. We will don't worry, we'll be letting everyone know. I've got some nice things planned. And originally I started out as a musician when I was young and played classical piano and violin, and then became a composer in my teenage years. And so I went to university to study composition. And then I walked into a room that had a computer in it and went, oh, yes, this is for me. And so I sort of switched my allegiances and ended up writing a lot of music for computer. I was studying physics at the time and sort of just fell into computer programming. And so, yeah, that's my last 25 years of my life is music, computers, internet. Also, the internet became very, very important for me. If you can imagine New Zealand in the 80s, we pretty much it was like literally an island in the middle of nowhere, like literally. This is not some kind of figurative imagination here. So, films came 6 months late, magazines would be a year late. We'd get the news because it would come over satellite. It was invariably British news, so we grew up with British TV. And but so when the internet came, it was like the world was there right now at our fingertips, at that moment. And so it is just something I fell in love with immediately. So yeah, that's led to where I am now.
Wow, that's quite a kind of move from music and performance and composing into tech. I guess there's some similarities in there as well. There's some crossover.
My sideways evolution into Source Elements was so I was a composer, and then I went into writing computer software, and then so I ended up in the Netherlands because I was working for a music institute that made digital instruments from scratch. And so I in this world of working very much with musicians and computers and sensors and building instruments. And so, then going into writing, making the software company that Source Elements was sort of just another tangent on that.
That's really cool. So the kind of creative part of that is obviously, and I think it's obvious from what Source Elements does in terms of helping creatives connect with each other. It's obviously, who would think of that unless they knew the needs of creatives and the musicians, the performers, without that background?
Right. And so I'm spending about 10 years with Source Elements at the beginning of the days, really focused on programming. And then suddenly I was like, how can I use this as a musician? And so I went back to university and did my master's and using Source Connect as a music tool for classical and jazz musicians. And now it's one of my main areas of research that I do as well.
How did the actual idea of Source Elements come into being? Where did that spring from? Where did that spark? How did it?
So from my other half, I don't know if you've ever met Robert Marshall in person.
I don't think we've met him in person, but I've seen him on screen a good number of times.
Yes.
So completely random. I was in Europe, young person, like, I'm bored now. I will leave and go do something else, not caring at all about what's coming next down the road. And to get to New Zealand, you have to choose. You can't just go back to New Zealand, you have to, especially when you're young and poor, you can't just fly. There's no direct flights, basically. So I came via Sri Lanka. So I thought, I better go back the other way. So at least if I'm going back to New Zealand, I can say I circumvented the world. And I ended up in Chicago because I had some friends there from musicians. And Robert and I were introduced through a mutual friend. And we're sitting there having the proverbial beer, and a napkin gets pulled out. And Robert says, do you think you could build this? And he's had this idea for ages because he was working as a sound engineer doing a lot of ADR and working with a lot of voice actors using ISDN, spending thousands of dollars a month on these ISDN charges, calling London, being $5 a minute. And he's just frustrated, he's like, Robert's the kind of guy, so he doesn't have to spend a ton of money on something. He's very happy. And so he's looking at the internet going, I'm paying for this internet as well. Why can't I use that and not have any user charges? And I was just randomly in the right place without a job, on my way back to New Zealand.
Wow.
And so we had just enough time. We had a few days together to flesh it out. I go back to New Zealand, which was perfect because the whole thing got built while we were on the internet together, because it couldn't have got built while we were in the same room. We had to be apart to actually have those problems, those true problems be faced, and it's really kismet that it worked out like that.
That's amazing. So the things that come out of chance meetings never fails to amaze me.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that this company that we certainly in the voiceover industry, everybody knows about, everybody uses. It's just part of daily life for so many people. Just was just almost a fluke. Nearly didn't happen.
I would like to say the things that come out of trips to the pub.
Oh, I would also, yes. Actually, and Robert was just there yesterday with George Whittam,
Right.
and just took a photo saying, "Look where I am," So
Oh, no way.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Great.
What a wonderful happening. And yeah. So how long roughly, I mean, you may know exactly, from the initial spark of an idea to it actually being something close to what we recognise now as source elements, how long was that transition?
a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty quick.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah. I think, and we might kind of touch on what seems to me to be kind of the explosive growth of source elements during the pandemic. But, previous to that, how quickly was the technology adopted and what sort of return on your investment were you kind of seeing? And obviously I'm not asking specific figures, but, was it worth it from day one or was it a real kind of slow creeper?
It was a real, a ramp. There was definitely no big, E curve or anything. But because one of the partners we worked with in Chicago was very well connected around the big recording studios and advertising, it was basically just to pick up the phone and say, "Would you like to not spend tens of thousands of dollars a month?" Yes, okay, try this.
Yes, please.
And to actors such as Joe Cipriano, would you not like to be tied to your ISDN box every day? Would you like to actually go on holiday? And so, we had these moments of like being able to have a true added true value, save money, not be shackled to your, they called the golden handcuffs, the ISDN back then.
Yes, and I certainly remember. I know that Rob remembers the ISDN lines all too clearly.
Definitely. Yeah, the amount of headaches that it used to cause with voiceovers, kind of getting them fitted and then making them work and making sure they were configured as point to multi-point and not point to point and all that kind of stuff, and the telecoms companies telling you were wrong for wanting it point to multi-point, and it was a massive pain for a lot of voiceovers.
Yeah,
and
won't be tied anybody that moved house as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Oh,
absolutely.
No,
yeah,
no. I mean, it was a bit before I started working with voices, but obviously I remember Rob moaning about them at length.
Yeah. It's one of those funny stories that we lived through because we were young and living through that. But then in 10, 20 years, the young people just be glazed eyes like, "Oh, I'm with the TV, black and white."
Yes, don't suggest the idea of the dial-up speed that we all used to get as well.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get that brilliant idea of not being tied to the ISDN lines anymore, but that selling point of being able to work while you're on holiday is a bit of a mixed blessing.
I think it was actually one of the reasons we got some initial we had some angel funding because of that idea, so we'd work with some really great engineers in the beginning, and it was like, so I one day could go and work on a Greek island. It was unheard of.
So in terms of, not specifically about source elements, but in terms of yourself and being female and working in tech, it's still not common. It's annoyingly, it's still very frustrating. Did you find any particular barriers to that? Because you were quite involved in the community that you were serving, did that mean that you weren't facing tech barriers just because of the being female in tech, or do you think that's changed?
I was definitely sheltered in some ways, having, my business partners being, men already, in the business and already having, a name for themselves and,
Right.
award-winning engineers. That helped a lot. However, later as things grow and I wanted to, to take on independence and start to be the CEO and, start to build the company outside of sort of those initial grounds where we grew, where it made a difference was getting introductions and having like the validity of being like, is this, who is this, especially when I was young, who is this young woman who wants to talk to the CEO of this big company or this managing director?
Yeah.
It's like that validity is really hard to establish, especially if you're, walking around a trade show. I'm not wearing a suit. I don't have a badge that says one of the big names on it, and that outsiderness. There's many types of being outside. My outsiderness was being a young woman, which I know because I know I'm not a young woman. I'm an older, slightly older woman. It's easier for me, because now I have validity. I've also built a company which gives me validity. But even people who don't know me, because I'm, now in that next age bracket, I can walk around and have validity. So it was very much being a young person and being a young woman. However, I'm a white Western woman, so I had other privileges.
Yeah.
And I also have a lot of confidence, which I'm very lucky that I was born with, like, that confidence. However, many times I was very sad and upset at the access I didn't have. I remember the first time I went to the IBC conference in the Netherlands in like 2006, 2007. I go in and I think, have some chats with some people in my industry. No one talked to me.
Wow.
No one even looked at me. It was just brutal. And I went home and I was so upset. I was crying, and one of my friends saw me and she remembers that day. And now when I go, I'm like just walking around like it's mine. And she's like, such a change. It was, it took many years. But then what has become clear, really, really clear, is that the not having other women in positions of power means it's really hard for other women to get positions of power. It's really simple. So you don't have a mentor, you don't have a mentorship role. We tend to look for people who remind them of themselves when they're young. If you think, I'm gonna help some young people get into business, you tend to look for people who are like you, who think, okay, I'm going to spend all this energy. You're going to have the same kind of relationship to work that you had. And so the hardest part is finding someone who's further along in their career, who's comfortable with mentorship because of that close working relationship. And of course, there's that often difficult dynamic of like an older man and younger woman. All of these things have to be negotiated. Most of the time I had incredible relationships, and sometimes you're like, this isn't working out for me for reasons that I, don't need to say. So until we have a lot more women and other underrepresented persons in those leadership positions, we're not going to reach a tipping point. So now that I'm older and got some respect and got some validity, I work very, very heavily in mentorship, in visibility, in scholarships. I just announced a big scholarship with the Audio Engineering Society. It's a Trailblazers Award where we're going to, really make visible the work that people do to increase diversity in our industry.
Amazing.
Just because I say, look, we all listen to music and watch TV, right? Yeah. So why is only 50% of the population making it? Like, hello? Sorry, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
It never fails to amaze me how behind the times things still are.
It's a great industry because it's fun. We have a lot of fun working with sound and music and audio. The people are great. The money is good. You can work at home. You can be flexible. Of course, if you want to go into production, that's another thing. I leave that over there. But so why not have more, diversity in this industry? It's great for mums. You can work at home with your kids and pick them up from school. It's fantastic for families. So, yeah.
The other thing that I noticed that you did, and it was when the war in Ukraine started, that really made your company and the way that you do things stand out to me, was the way that you supported your developers that were based in Ukraine. I'm quite sure not enough people will know about what you did and how Source Elements supported that. So do you want to tell people a little bit about that?
Thank you so much for mentioning that, especially great timing, because hopefully by now, this has come out, Source Connect 4 has been in public beta, and anyone listening to this will have the opportunity to have tried it. And if you go to the About box, you'll see our very, very warm tribute to the Ukrainian team who built the software.
That's amazing.
So at the time of the war, we had been, already deep into building Source Connect. And so they had been sharing an office, and suddenly, everyone scattered to go to where safe. And it's a very difficult thing to phrase properly, but the software has benefited from them not being in the office because, again, much like when Source Connect was first built and Robert and I were separated by the Pacific Ocean, their being separated from each other has had them forced to think about what does it mean to be on the internet together over a distance? What does it mean when I don't have power right now, when I'm maybe not able to be in my house right now? So these obviously more intense experiences than we have. However, it translates into the daily, like, oh, I'm running late for my meeting. Can I do it in the car? I'm got to pick up the kids at 4. Can I do my session at 4:05 somewhere else? It meant that the software has been battle tested.
Wow.
Yeah, it's intense. But so we can only say things with praise and gratitude.
I think companies that kind of had some benefit from COVID kind of almost have some sort of survivor's guilt about it, and it's a taboo thing to say, well, actually COVID was actually quite good for us, and obviously ignoring all the hardship and pain and everything that it caused, but from where I sit, it seems that Source Elements just kind of exploded over that whole thing. I mean, how much difference did it make? I mean, was Source Connect 4 already in development then? Did you have to kind of pause its development while you were just dealing with all the extra customers you were getting? And, what kind of, how was 2020 for you?
Kind of what you described. So if you can imagine the 15 years leading up to that, we had become true experts in how to work online under any conditions. And then, March 2020 comes along and everyone's like, does anyone know how to use the internet? I'm not put my hand out. I got this, So it was very special feeling to be useful in a time of difficulty. That's a really warm feeling that I carry. Like I was there, I helped. I didn't sleep for 3 months. We pulled together the team. I pulled in every single person that I knew who was clever at all with the internet. I said, who lost their job. I said, you've got to come work for me right now. Like, just stop watching Netflix. Come here. So we employed like every person that I could that was available, and that was really special. And a lot of people who their industry stopped, we were able to bring them on to do tech support, because they already knew Source Connect. And, so we got to have some really special people come through who were then able to go back to their jobs 6 months or a year later. That was so that growth was, naturally supported. We were able to support back the community at the same time. And so in terms of Source Connect 4, yes, we had actually almost gone into alpha release for Source Connect 4 in March. However, it was nowhere near ready enough for a release. And so we sort of sat on it a little bit. And then so once we had the time to go back to it, 3 months later, we looked at it and we were like, well, this isn't going to work, and threw it away and started over because the world had changed. It just didn't need a new version of Source Connect 3. It needed a complete rethink of who we are, how we work, what it means to be online together. And so we've kind of, we've restructured and rethought about what does the future mean. And the future is basically hybrid. So if you think of a session, that you might do tomorrow, as a sound engineer, for example, you have your studio, you've got it booked, you've got your clients and you've got your talent. And then, everyone's like, oh, I'll see you at 1 o'clock. 10 o'clock, the clients call, no, I'm not coming in today. 10:30, the talent's like, oh, I've got to go to the doctor, so I'm just going to work from home. And then suddenly you're the only one in the studio and you'd be like, well, why am I going to the studio? I'm just going to work from home too. So suddenly, so we thought Source Connect has to allow that to be so flexible and so fluid for those changes and for that short change of notice. So that's why we don't have port forwarding anymore and why we don't have iLock anymore. It's like, let's unshackle Source Connect as well, like get those damn handcuffs off as well. Yeah. And so a lot of those thoughts went into that. And so what you'll see with the new version, we think is really special. And it's just the beginning to what the beautiful things will come from it.
I mean, those 2 points alone, I know there will be voices cheering at home going...
Yeah, I mean, I have been in rooms when no port forwarding and no iLock has been mentioned,
Yes.
and there's been a big cheer and a big collective sigh of relief.
Yes.
But yeah,
it's like therapy session. It's done.
It is. It's we love Source Connect, but port forwarding... and no more of that. I think that alone, is going down very well. The iLock thing, I've got to have an iLock anyway because I'm running Pro Tools and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But
me too.
Yeah, for voiceovers who don't necessarily need a physical iLock or whatever, and it's great for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Case in point, it was the WOVO conference yesterday, and Robert was there like 1 p.m. Chicago time, doing a demo, and then he needed to call somebody, and I was like, I just had my laptop with me downstairs, while we're having dinner, and he calls me. It's like, can you get on Source Connect? I'm just like, open my laptop, sign in, just down to the dinner table, said hi to everybody.
Amazing.
It's just, I like to be able to use that. The next thing is, it's going to come in an iPad. And so talk about, travelable. That's not a word. I just made it up. But
it sounds good. I like that word.
Yeah.
Travelable. Yeah. Portable. Yes. No,
Portable.
That's,
thank you.
I mean, again, that's a fantastic innovation to be able to have that kind of connectivity, kind of even more portable than your laptop is and things. I mean, again, that's great. That's absolutely great.
But I mean, just kind of thinking about all the things that you've just talked about, the values of your business and the values that you hold, and that sense of community and support is obviously incredibly. It's not just important; it's a fundamental part of who you are.
It is.
You can't do those things unless they are. But I think has that shaped how Source Element runs as well? I guess people that run their business ethically is not always seen as a successful business model, shall we say?
Well, you've got good companies like Patagonia, for example. They're good examples that if you make the right choices, and honestly, which one of us wants to be a billionaire? Who wants to wake up every morning with stress like that? Who wants that? It's not what I want. No, wealth comes from having people around you that you love, and your house, and a warm house. We all know that's the reality.
That's one of the things that comes across from the way that you talk about Source Elements and everything else that you seem to be involved in, is that sense of sharing and community and sharing knowledge and sharing technology and supporting and innovating and encouragement is absolutely core to who you and the business is, and it's really lovely to see that be successful as well.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense for a company that is centred on communication to be so community focused. It just means that you're going to do your job better than someone who's just more interested in the bottom line. Oh,
exactly. If you go to our website at source-elements.com, at the bottom there's a link for the communities that we work with. And every week we're adding someone new. And this isn't people that we're selling to. These are people who are being helped by us. And it just fills me with real warmth.
It fills me with warmth, and I've got nothing to do with it, but I still love it.
Well, you do, with the VO industry and the community. Sorry, the industry is the wrong word here. The community in the UK is very strong and very tight and caring. We saw that in May when everyone is kind to each other and wants to support each other. It's not a zero-sum game if someone else gets work. There's always an elephant in the room when it comes to Source Connect and the voice industry, because a lot of the remote recording is done, with Zoom or, with a web browser. And then, you have us who are more expensive. And then it's always that question, like, why on earth should I invest in this? What, and I also just want to acknowledge that we're aware of this conundrum all the time. We speak about it every day. We're like, how can we make this more accessible without, losing our business?
Yeah.
And so just that awareness to let everyone know that we're aware of that dichotomy there. We could make a cheaper, less good product on a web browser, but we've decided not to.
Yeah.
We've made that decision. We believe in the technology and we stand behind that, and it has the price that it has to have for it to be that good.
Yeah.
Sure.
However, we completely understand if somebody can't use it or can't afford it right now, or it has an issue with it, whatever. There's many people who have many different thoughts about our company and our product, and I just think it's important to be transparent that we know what everybody thinks, but our reasons for doing things we believe are good reasons. The other side of that is to show that we can do the other stuff. We have a free product that you can use, and we say, please use it if it works for you. We have just go to Source Nexus and use that free product. Do your remote recording, because we want to acknowledge that this technology exists. To us, the quality of a browser is free. So then use that for getting into the industry, doing your remote records if economy is a bit in a barrier. And then once you've got some backing behind you, maybe you've got some an agent, then please try Source Connect. And we hope that you can see this is your professional life should belong with a product that deserves, your voice deserves that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Rebekah. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today, and it's really inspiring conversation as well. I hope other people will be inspired by
Likewise.
You and your background and what you do and what Source Elements does. And I really hope we see you in person at another event sometime soon.
Oh, undoubtedly. I agree. It's a pleasure to meet you both as well. And maybe I get to come and spend more time with you guys at some point.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Panic room.
Before we enter the panic room, just a quick reminder that Helen and I host Ask Us Anything sessions on Zoom several times a year, and it's from these sessions that we get the audio for the panic room. If you wish to attend an Ask Us Anything session, you'll need to be on our mailing list so that you know the dates and the meeting link. But if you do have a question for the panic room, you can always drop us an email to listen@thevosocial.com.
I'm doing direct marketing emails at the moment, and I want to link them to my website, to my demos, but obviously I don't want them to think it's some kind of weird phishing email that if they click the link, they're going to have all their crypto stuff go. So obviously I have a nice personal email that I've gone into the company and I've researched them and I talk about them, and I've got my signature on my email set up, which has got my website, LinkedIn, socials and stuff. But if I put, you can, if you want to look at my demos, you can click this link here and have either a hyperlink or the full link. Is there anything I should do or should I not do that to make them not click on it? Because obviously the idea is to get them to the website.
Yeah, I think I have point out that you've got the two options for them to hear you. So if they want to so I think there's kind of two things. It's one about convenience for whoever's getting the stuff, you don't want them to have to click too many times to be able to hear the thing that you want them to hear, because that'll instantly put some people off. But equally, yeah, you're right. Sometimes the people get very suspicious about files downloading and stuff like that straight from a site, particularly if they don't know who you are. So it is a bit. I think the way to do it for the VA is to point out the two options and to say you can listen to demos and download them from our website, or I've attached them. If you prefer me to send them as a WeTransfer or as a secure link, then just let me know. And I think it's kind of calling out that things that people might presume. Anybody that's trying to hack you ain't going to have those options. People aren't nice and polite and friendly when they're trying to phish you or, hack you. They just put a really spammy, dodgy looking link in. So yeah, I think just say, look, whichever you prefer, the options are here. But if you want another way, or you want me to do a custom demo, I think putting things like that in as well, it all kind of gets that kind of, I'm here to help you. How can I make your life easy? But yeah, you don't want to kind of equally, yeah, you've got to be careful not to kind of stop people. It's about, and I know that the conversations goes around socials every so often about AI and having downloadable demos on your site, and whether it's too dangerous to have them as downloadable. Have downloadable demos on your bloody website. There is just nothing that will be more important than you blocking a client from being able to get your demos than you not having your demos. You're going to just cancelling out the possibility of you getting work. And I think sometimes you've just got to weigh up those costs. It's like having a phone number on your site. Yes, occasionally you might get a crap call because you've got a phone number on your site, but you also are stopping people doing last minute bookings. And it might be people that you're already in contact with. And I know, Rob, when you used to work regularly in agencies and you were trying to get hold of VOs that were on your books that had a session booked, but they didn't have a phone number on their site, so you couldn't get hold of them, and so they lost the job. So it's little things like that make a massive difference. Just be as open as you can be.
All right, thanks.
You've been listening to the VoiceOver Social podcast, hosted by Rob B and Helen B from BEE, sponsored by BEE. VoiceOver Social.
Thank you to our guest, Rebekah Wilson from source-elements.com.
Coming up, we have the first ever Hearts, Beds and Books social on the 4th of December. We also have the first ever Helsinki social on the 12th of December. If you're anywhere near Belfast or Manchester on the 14th of December, you could go to a social in either of those places. We have our online Pint and Rabbit social on the 20th of December. And don't forget, on the 25th of January 2025 is the Great Big VoiceOver Social.
All audio production by Rob B. Please like, subscribe and leave a review to help more VoiceOver people find us.
And if you want to email us, it's listen@thevosocial.com.
See you next month.
The VoiceOver Social.